Well, staying on this, Ronald Malindi is now going to be remembered today in Boyson, south of Joburg. The 29-year-old was shot in Westbury and later died in hospital. He and many South Africans continue to be victims of crime. And Nkqubile Madlala is in Boyson. She joins us now. Nkqubile, good afternoon to you. How are people remembering Raymond Malindi?
Good morning, Stevens. In fact, where I'm standing, I just want to show you behind me. This used to be a place where he used to fight his amateur fights here, I'm told. And of course, he grew from here, shaping his career right straight to the level that he was in. And of course, today we are going to be seeing some of his family, which is expected to be here. And we are as well expecting to see some of the people that have worked with him in the industry, just to remember him for what he has done. We have also heard from some of the people in Westbury who have said that he used to be part of that community, especially a gentleman who said that he used to drive his car. So he knew him when he was quite younger, before he made it so big in his career. And just so there's a lot that has came out so far, but we are expecting that memorial, of course, to get underway at 4 o'clock and to get more out of it. But for now, I'm going to bring in a community leader as well as CPF to speak to us about these issues, especially relating to crime in the area. And I mean, I want to bring you in because this incident is one that eventually took someone's life. It must be difficult for the families to accept what had occurred in Westbury, but how many more families are affected in such?
Currently, we have a serious crisis as far as the shooting and the killing is concerned in our communities. Yesterday, 2 people were shot in El Dorado Park again. Last week, I've lost a family member in Riverlea, also due to this unnecessary gang violence. And we don't know, we can't get to the grips of why these killings are happening. But it's ongoing and it's happening on a daily basis. Tuesday, we had two youngsters, a boy and a girl, being shot in Claremont, which is so scary. It is so unnecessary, but yet things are just happening. And what the worst part of it all is that we have youngsters, juveniles, 13, 14-year-olds, that becoming the gunmen, that shooting one another, and it's becoming a norm in our communities. It's not just the Westbury area, but the whole surrounding. Most of our coloured areas has been suffering with this gang violence, and it's just ongoing. I've been in contact with the investigating officer that was dealing with one of these crimes. Last week, the anti-gang unit was investigating a shooting incident where he went to go to the family's home to go and take a statement, and while he's busy trying to get the statement, somebody drove by and shot the police officer through the eye, and he killed him. The officer was buried now last week Friday, and the staff at the police station is traumatized. It's not just the Firetown police station, but it's the anti-gang unit that's working tirelessly 24 hours a day and trying to come to grips with all the shootings. The police officers, anti-gang unit, trying to solve and investigate one case, and then they have been called away from that incident to go and attend to another shooting. Our officers are in such a state that they are also traumatized. And we don't know where is it going to end, we don't know how it's going to end, but we need to get some serious intervention, and we work with a divine intervention, our spiritual leaders. And today, this afternoon, we had another memorial service at the Westbury High School for a girl that was shot in Claremont, and she was still at the school, and they had a memorial service now until 2 o'clock at the school. So it's just ongoing, and we don't know how it's going to stop.
And I mean, in situations like this, and like you're saying, it seems like a lot of people are affected. What do you do? How do you help them?
There's no way that we can help because every family member, every person that you speak to either lost a young member, either yesterday or last week or a week before. And while we're still trying to mourn the death of one member, then we hear of another member being shot. And it's just ongoing, and we don't know why. And they say it's 2 gangs. I'm not familiar with the gangs because I don't even know who are the gang leaders, who are the members of these gangs. I just know there's 2 gangs. One is the Varados, and the other one is the Fast Guns. But what they do, how they do it, I got no clue. I don't even know these guys. So I'm going to lie if I tell you I know what's happening.
And how does one curb the violence then when we have 2 gangs that are clearly fighting and people are getting caught up in the fire?
The problem that we have is the communities are not coming forward with information. Our community is so traumatized. Members see what's happening. Community, family members see what's happening. But because of intimidation, because of the backlash on these incidents, nobody wants to come forward and give information or give statements. Because a couple of weeks, months ago in Riverlea, the one vendor was selling vegetables and he was a witness in the crime. And the day before he had to go to court, he was gunned down and he died. So nobody wants to come forward, nobody wants to make statements because there is nothing, nobody's protecting our communities. Our community is just going to the dogs.
And I mean, you talk about young children here, you said juveniles. How does those children end up in the crime? Is there a way to perhaps assist them?
The biggest concern right now is we don't have any recreation facilities in our communities. There are no sporting facilities. There are no, in the past we had heroes, like the boxing academy that we're standing here at right now. We had beautiful, we had top professional boxers in our communities, but these facilities have not been maintained properly. Our government, our local government are not providing any recreation facilities. We only have soccer fields where everybody thinks that's the only type of sports. We have two swimming pools in the communities, in Coronationville and in Westbury. But due to lack of maintenance, lack of resources, lack of budget, these things are not being properly maintained. These facilities are not being cared for. And worst of all, Coronation has no water for the last 8 weeks. And no water at the schools, no water anywhere else. So how do we expect the swimming pool to operate if there's no water? When the water eventually goes on, then there's no power. So we are back to square one with no facilities, and our recreation centers are not even operational. The facilities are of such a poor standard that there's nothing happening at these facilities. So what's happening to our community is very sad.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us. That is CPF. And as you can hear there, Stephen, saying that there's so much that's happening in the community with gun violence that when they look at the option to try and get the children off the street, because there's not so much happening in the recreational side, then there's no other option but to end up in the crime.
Well, so interesting to see how this happens and the deeply disturbing impact it has. Nkobile Madlala, live from Boysons in the south of Joburg. Thank you. Well.